Thank you for joining us on Sheridan County Ag Update. Today I have with me directors of the Sheridan WYO Rodeo. Before we get started, I'd like to say thank you to Heartland Kubota and True Built Builders for your sponsorship. Gentlemen, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Liz.
We have Hayden Heaphy, Ryan White, and Casey Terrell, all part of the Sheridan WYO Rodeo Board. Hayden is your fearless leader, I believe, as the president.
I am.
And how many years have you been president, Hayden?
This is just my second year.
Okay.
I've been on the rodeo board for 27 years.
I wasn't going to ask that. I was just going to say a few years,
So we bring a little experience.
Yes. And you guys one of you is doing security and the other one's in charge of the volunteers,
yes,
correct?
I have security.
Okay. Very important things. Well, let's just dive in because it's time to get WYO'd.
Let's do it.
All right. So let's talk about the volunteers, because without the volunteers, the rodeo can't happen, from your wranglers to your gate help to everything else. So let's just dive in.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head. Without volunteers, the WYO Rodeo doesn't really happen. And so we're very fortunate that we have a strong base of volunteers. You noted the wranglers. They're fantastic. If you've been to the WYO, you know who the wranglers are. And there's also a lot of folks that you don't necessarily see that make it go, and a lot of folks that work hard on things year round. So we're encouraged to have a strong base of folks that have helped for a long time. And then we're also in the process of really trying to ramp up our volunteer program, offer folks more opportunities, be more communicative. And I found there's a lot of folks in the community who would love to get back to the rodeo, and we're trying to give them an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, there are I know even Hayden gets put to work. He gets the back gate there.
It's good. It keeps him out of trouble.
It does. Well, and I think that's probably something that people don't realize is just how big your volunteer base has been. And that goes just from, that's with everything. Your boot kickoff, you have to have the volunteers, along with the chamber and Downtown Sheridan Association, the volunteers that help with the parade that morning too. It's not just at the fairgrounds itself. There's so many things.
Absolutely. Slack's another great example. People don't realize we have rodeo starting Monday night. And the slack is crucial for the rest of the performances, and that doesn't happen without help and volunteers. So I agree with you. It's a bit of an iceberg. There's a lot of it that's underwater.
Yes. So security.
Yes.
You get all the problems.
I don't know about that. I find it interesting though. I don't mind doing it. Hayden told me last year, he's like, well, maybe we can find something else for you to do. And I'm like, no, I actually like it. I don't mind it. Looking this year, we're going to have some changes this year.
Okay.
Obviously there's no coolers allowed in the grandstands. No large bags, no backpacks. We will turn people away that have those. Obviously, there's going to be parents out there that might have a kid. They need a diaper bag. We will have an area to go where you can get those looked at, and we'll allow those in for that. Small handbags, purses, those are allowed. They could be subject to search, but we want to ensure the safety of everybody there.
Well, it's probably the largest event that happens in Sheridan. So you have to have that component.
Yep. It's time. We just need to make a step change for the better.
Well, and then now, do you also handle all of the parking and all that? Is that part of security? Okay. Well, let's talk about the parking, because that's always something that comes up.
Yes. So we don't have any paid parking anymore. We're to the point where we have so many sponsors. We need to take care of our sponsors. So they're in that area next to the carnival.
Okay.
So, but we will have free parking at the high school.
Okay.
That's going to be available again. And we will have shuttles. We'll have shuttles running from the high school parking lot over to the 5th Street entrance. And then we'll have shuttles from downtown it's the old C&K tire lot. Down by Kilpatrick Creations. There'll be a pickup area there for shuttles.
Hayden and I have been here long enough. That's the old Cook Ford lot.
Yeah, Cook Ford lot. Yeah.
Well, I think it's great that you have that, because I know there's a lot of people who they may want to have dinner beforehand, and then they come back downtown for all the events that happen downtown. So it's great to be able to park and ride, and it cuts down on the congestion up there.
Yeah. Yeah, that worked out really well. We got that was a partnership with Travel and Tourism School District.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, because not just the sponsors you have parking there, but you have all your volunteers,
Yep.
and you have a whole lot of contestants.
Yep, there's only 40 acres up there, and it gets taken up fast. So.
It would be great if we could expand it, but I don't know where you would go.
Well, we talk about the evolution of the rodeo, Liz, and before we got started here today, we were reminiscing a little bit about the days when your father and your grandfather were rodeoing. Mm-hmm. And in those days, I remember that the luxury ride for a timed event cowboy was a large sedan, probably a Cadillac or a Lincoln, a big heavy mm-hmm. sedan, and a 2-horse inline Miley horse trailer, all of which you could fit inside this room.
You could fit inside one of those new living quarters that they're pulling now.
Yeah.
So today, these guys are pulling full over-the-road semis with 50-foot trailers behind. Mm-hmm. And so where we used to be able to park 10 people, now we're parking 1. Mm-hmm. And that's just the one of the evolutionary changes of the rodeo industry.
But the fairgrounds didn't get any bigger.
No.
Unfortunately not.
I mean, that's just, yeah. And you know what? I do know there was a Pontiac with a 4 on the floor with a 2-horse inline that made its appearance in the parade last year.
There you go.
So, yeah, it changes. It would be nice to be able to have more space, but we are limited up there. So,
right. So I should mention, not to overstep Ryan, that in addition to sponsor parking on the grounds, we have a pretty significant parking area for handicapped persons, and mm-hmm. so even to the point where we'll have people valet assistance, another volunteer spot to direct folks right to the grandstands, so that they can get into the grandstands and then get turned around and go park in the parking lot. So. Okay. We're not short-changing anybody in that standpoint.
And will their handicap pass work, or do they need to get a special parking pass through the WYO Rodeo box office?
If they have a valid handicap parking sticker, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. And those are first come, first serve. We mm-hmm. have, I think there's around 25 of them. There's actually mm-hmm. quite a few, but they're going to be first come, first serve. And like Hayden said, if somebody just can't quite make that walk, they just go up and ask security, hey, can I buzz in and drop grandma off, and we'll go out.
Okay.
That's not
a
problem.
Good to know.
Yep.
Good to know. So how have ticket sales been so far? I know you had your big ticket launch event, which sounded like fun.
It was fun, and you should have been there.
I should have been there.
The weather was great this year, which was a nice change compared to last year.
Yep. Thanks to the support of the people in Sheridan, primarily, the ticket sales have been phenomenal this year. I can't think of a better word. We just compiled some numbers last night. There are no tickets left for sale on Saturday night. No tickets left on Friday night. There are, I believe, 44 tickets left on Thursday night, and there's how many guys?
Couple of hundred
for Wednesday night. There are always some last minute additions that will come up in the next couple of weeks. But from the ticket stock that we started with, we're now 3 weeks out from rodeo, and we're all but sold out.
Wow!
And that's been the trend since 2021. Mm-hmm. We missed a rodeo in 2020. But since 21, we've been sold out every night.
Well, I know that you see on Facebook, even starting now, people are, hey, does anybody have any tickets they want to get rid of? Or, you start seeing people looking because they waited too long.
Right. We have struggled with the ticket resellers. There are folks who jump online early when we open ticket sales and try to buy as many tickets as they can buy, and then those show up on other websites shortly thereafter. And they'll put a 10 times price multiple on it. And just as an example, a $26 ticket, I've seen them for sale for $240.
Which brings us to say the only official ticket sales is SheridanWYORodeo.com. That is the only official place to get your tickets.
Or at the WYO Theater.
Yes. Anywhere else online is not, don't trust it.
It's
At your peril.
potentially, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, there you go.
We did have a few fake tickets last year that people have purchased online, and they went to scan them, and they were not good. Yeah.
And then you have upset people.
Yeah, and we dealt with it the best we could.
Mhm.
We figured something out for them. But yeah, if you're buying tickets online, you got to be very, very careful.
And this is not just a Sheridan problem. Anybody who's gone to a football game or a concert knows that this is the wave of ticket sales throughout the country. There are people buying them in blocks early on as cheap as they can get them, and then they get resold at multiple price factors.
Quality Kubota machinery and customer care from the heart. Proudly serving Sheridan and the surrounding area since 1996. Go online to heartlandkubota.com or stop by Heartland Kubota, 2450 Heartland Drive. Well, one of the additions that were made a few years ago, but is still going on, is the Cowboy Channel being here. But it is rebroadcast, correct? Or is it live one night? I don't remember.
It's rebroadcast because we are in direct conflict with the Calgary Stampede, and that rodeo is 100 times larger than Sheridan's. It runs for, I can't even remember, 10 days or 2 weeks, and their performances are right on top of ours. So what will happen is that we will be a rebroadcast. And what I saw last year is that we would get next day broadcast sometime during the day, and then repeated broadcasts in the following week. But we're in a tight spot for TV coverage because you have Calgary, and then right after we're done, they start Cheyenne Frontier Days. So I'm thankful to the Cowboy Channel. I'm proud to be part of a rodeo that the Cowboy Channel thinks is good enough to film and broadcast, and make sure that we do have rebroadcast time on their network.
Absolutely. Well, I know my mom, she still enjoys the rodeos, but she doesn't. She's older. She doesn't want to sit in the heat, but she loves the fact she can watch it. The hometown rodeo, she can still have the opportunity to see it. So, yeah, awesome. Well, there's so much more to the WYO Rodeo as well that people don't realize. There is, Dr. Sarah Schreiber, she's on your board, and she takes care of all the animal welfare, make sure that the animal athletes are performing at their best. You have so many more like that. But let's talk about our animal athletes, because you have something special that people can do.
Yeah, I'm going to just mention a couple of things. The rodeo board committee spent an enormous amount of time in the last couple of meetings. At this time of year, we're meeting once a week, every week. But we have thoroughly developed and gone over and refined plans to deal with the unfortunate situation when there might be an accident involving an animal or a human. And that takes a coordination from the whole committee. People have to know where to go and what to do in the event an animal falls, cowboy is hurt, something like that. So you're coordinating a veterinary crew, and Sarah Schreiber has, 4 or 6 people on her team that are dedicated to treating and transporting animals out of the arena. And then a number of others on the rodeo board are assigned to assist as necessary. That kind of thing includes helping to load animals onto the transport to get them to veterinary care, making sure that people don't get in the way, catching runaway horses if that happens. pickup men who deal with this every weekend of their lives are also an integral part of that team. And so we do spend a lot of time doing that. To flip to the other side of that, we like and want to have the community and the attendees at the rodeo fans, learn a little bit more about what goes on with the care of the animals. So we have a Stock Stars tour, and that's every morning at 8:30 in the morning. It's a guided tour. We have Matt Sharping and Wade Sankey, our stock contractors, lead that tour. Dr. Schreiber is also part of that, and people can learn about the raising, the care, the feeding of transport of these animals from rodeo to rodeo, and really see a backside look at the animal side of the rodeo, which most of us know nothing about. We see an animal performing in the arena. We don't know what leads up to that. And so this year we're actually trying to enhance that experience. So we've set aside a group of front row seats that we're going to sell for a premier opportunity with the Stock Stars tour. So you can get seats. You can get the Stock Star tour. We're partnering with the Bradford Brenton Museum, and we're going to take people on a tour of the museum, another guided tour, which is not the usual situation out at the Bradford Brenton. Did I cover it, guys?
Yeah. Tickets are available on our website.
Yep.
And at the WYO Theater.
Yep.
For those.
And this is a volunteer segue. If I can ask Casey to tie in, because this is one of the things that he's been looking at.
One thing I want to emphasize is, if you're considering whether you've been going to rodeo your whole life and watch them on the Cowboy Channel all the time, or if you're just getting into rodeo, we have some of the best stock in the world come and perform at the Sheridan WYO Rodeo. And this is your opportunity to go and be up close, see these animals. It's like if you could take a tour of an NFL locker room and get to meet the starting 11 players, So I think it's a great opportunity if you're, whether you've been in rodeo a long time or if you're just getting introduced to it, to see the cream of the crop. And as far as volunteers go, I think it's just another aspect of getting folks involved in the rodeo. I think the more folks are involved with it, the more they respect and appreciate it. And I also feel like my experience has been that people have appreciated the rodeo in Sheridan for so many reasons for so long, and they're eager to give back. And so we're trying to present some different kind of more specific and intentional opportunities to do that. This year we're forming a number of different committees. One is like the Howdy Hands, another one's the Grounds Hands, the other one's Slack Hands, All Around Hands. There's a number of different ones, but so if you're interested in a particular area, let's say that you love helping out at the fairgrounds but aren't one to want to talk to folks, we'd encourage you to sign up, note that, and we'll get you plugged in with the grounds crew. Shameless plug, if you go to SheridanWYORodeo.com/volunteers, that'll take you to a page where you can submit an interest form. We're also trying a different sign-up platform this year to make it easier for our volunteers to get signed up, and it also sends you alerts and reminders, which I know is helpful for me. My wife would testify to that. But if you scan the link, we'll be publishing that on our social media and around town. We'll have QR codes at Third Thursday tomorrow night, but if you scan those, you can go to the sign up page and sign up for a shift right there. And there's more information about when to show up and that sort of thing.
Well, and if I can add something about the stock too, the animal athletes, they truly are athletes. This is not just some range pony that came out and we decided to throw a flank strap on. I mean, these guys have a job, they know it, and they're very well taken care of for the other 9-10 months out of the year. They perform at they don't go to every single rodeo. They go to different rodeos, and Sheridan is so lucky that Sankey Pro Rodeo and Matt Sharpie with his Buck and Bulls come here. We have the ones that you see at the NFR. We have the black tie. We have Soto. We have those that come here. You can see them in person. And what a great opportunity.
I totally agree.
You're exactly right, Liz. I read an interesting piece in the last week about how the rodeo industry changed from the range pony bucking horse to which is as recently as the 70s and early 80s. As rodeo fans, cowboys, we used to go to the Miles City bucking horse sale. All the contractors would show up and they would sell hundreds of essentially range horses. And there would be tryouts, and most of those horses would go to rodeo. Most of them would fail. A few would go on. But at that time, the rodeo contractors realized that we didn't have adequate animal athletes to match the demand for rodeo and the contestants. And so they kind of started with a guy named Ernest Took in Miles City, Montana. But all these stock contractors started picking up his bloodlines and intentionally breeding horses that were suitable for rodeo. So you want a carriage horse, you breed a Percheron or a Clydesdale to have a carriage horse. If you want a rodeo horse, you intentionally breed for those characteristics. They buck, they jump, they're athletic, and my gosh, they are enormous. If you were ever to go on that Stock Star tour, you have a whole different perspective of what a big horse is. They're so agile. Yeah, it's like going to an NBA game, or a professional football game.
Yeah.
All the horses are 16 hands and plus. They weigh 1,500 pounds, and there are no horses that you ever see on a ranch that look like the bucking horses.
They are well taken care of.
And they're well taken care of.
They are in great shape for their respective event.
Well, and talking to Matt Sharping, I had lunch with him last year. It was amazing. He could go through every one of those animals and tell me exactly what he fed them. They all had different diets. They're not just eating hay. They eat supplements. They have different things. They're always doing blood testing on them to make sure that they're healthy. They're not anything's going on. It's just, the Stock Stars would be, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's worth going on.
It is.
I kind of walked up in the middle of one last year, and Tracy Swanson was like, "Oh, come on." And so, but it was very interesting, even for myself, who's grown up around it my entire life. It was very interesting to hear, like you said, some of the supplements they're feeding and all these different things that they're doing to continuously improve their athleticism.
So these animal athletes are the trigger for another thing I wanted to mention this year. The rodeo board installed a brand new set of the best preferred bucking chutes and stock pens that we could buy to replace the ones that had been at the fairgrounds. That move was initiated by the fact that one of the NFR caliber bulls tore up a chute last year and injured himself in the chute. And at that point, you realize, we got 35-year-old chutes in there, and they're not going to last forever. So, but animal safety, animal care kind of starts with us on the grounds, and we can't have these animals coming into should I say, worn out set of chutes where pieces might break and things like that. So, safety drives that, and I'm sure when people see those chutes, they're going to say, "Wow, they're
very nice.
They're red and black. They look like they are the NFR chutes, top of the line." And we're really glad that when the Cowboy Channel films this, the picture of Sheridan, Wyoming, is going to be a brand new set of bucking chutes, and so it's going to look pretty good to the folks out in the world that have never been to Sheridan.
Well, and I want to give a shameless little plug here to the fairgrounds crew, Chris Sorensen and those guys. I see that they got the roping boxes leveled out, which is awesome. That hasn't been done in a long time, and they looked great. I even had a comment the other day. I'm like, those are super nice. And I think that those guys have probably done a lot of stuff up there to help out as well.
They have.
Yeah. And Jess Sams, one of our directors, our fellow directors, big shout out to him. He's spent a lot of time up there helping lay it out. do a lot of work on it. So if you see him, tell him thank you.
It does look really nice.
Yeah.
So Jess Sams, I guess, was assigned to handle that project. He personally supervised the installation with one of our other Wyoming rodeo contractors, Hank Franzen, and Jess put his own time, money, machinery into making it work right. And as long as I'm mentioning Jess Sams,
I was just
you know what that leads me to?
I know, and I was just going to say, one of these times, I am going to get him up here to grill him. Just I'm going to call him out right now, Jess. I'm going to get you up here, but let's talk. It's okay. I'll blackmail him or something. But let's talk about the world famous Indian relay races.
There you go. What more can be said other than Indian relay races? World Championship Indian relay races.
Yes. And that's kind of Jess's baby. He kind of handles that. And Jess has done a really good job over the years working with numerous different tribes the teams come from. And that there's a lot of that goes into that, just that portion of it.
Jess promised me that he would give me enough history that I could talk with you today about this, but he's been too busy building chutes and he hasn't gotten that to me. But I can tell you a couple of little highlights. I think Jess started as a volunteer with the rodeo, working with Roger St. Clair, who was one of our directors at the time, and those guys took it upon themselves to be the Indian relay support team on the rodeo committee. And so Jess stuck with that for 9 years, and then we opened up our eyes and said that we should have Jess on the committee as a director rather than just showing up for the rodeo preparation day. But his work is knee deep, and he has developed such good relationships with the various racing teams now that we have gone way beyond asking for teams to come here. The best teams in the world are coming here to Sheridan, and we are having to turn away race teams. So everybody should know that when a team shows up at Sheridan, they have a track record. They're not in the rodeo because they're Jess's friend or my friend. They're there because they have a proven track record on other tracks around the country of being able to compete and win. And so we've truly got a world championship rodeo race, Indian relay race now that's driven by competition. I mean, you can call it a playoff series almost, but they've proven themselves in many places. So give a lot of credit. And beyond that, I can't tell you a lot except it's going to be exciting again, as it always is, and it gets safer, it gets more professional, more competitive every year because we have those kind of teams coming. And so the last plug I'll make about Indian relay racing is our new event this year. We're going to have women's Indian relay racing. We will have exhibition relay racing. The rodeo board is putting up prize money. The old cowboys used to call it day money, but every women's team that comes here will be paid to exhibit their race team, and new, different, and we think it's going to be pretty exciting. Now, I'll let these guys talk. You've run me out of knowledge.
The only thing I'd have to add is just it's been awesome, I think, for Indian relay that it's gotten so much more popular over the past couple of years. You know, we had the honor of hosting some folks that were doing a documentary last year, which included a lot of commentary from Kennard Reelbird. And
you can't have Indian relay without Kennard.
Yep, it's they're synonymous. And I was fortunate I had the opportunity to listen to him speak about what relay means to their community. But I think it's a huge testament to the WYO Rodeo, to the WYO Rodeo board, the community of Sheridan, that even as the popularity of Indian relays increased, Sheridan remains the place to be. It is the World Championships undisputed. And that's neat. How many places can say that they have something?
Well, and we were talking earlier before we started just how much the Native community has always been a part of the Sheridan WYO Rodeo. You know, our neighbors to the north, the Crows and the Northern Cheyennes, have always been such a huge part of this. The Miss American Indian Queens, how many of them have come from this area? And, you know, we've had quite a few in the last few years that have been from our Native friends. And it really kind of goes hand in hand, I think.
Agreed. And I know it's a huge point of emphasis for the board to respect and appreciate that culture. And that's why it's awesome to have the powwow downtown at the Sheridan Inn. If you've never had the opportunity to see that, it's a great experience. We're tickled pink to have those folks be here because they're part of the community and a part of our story.
Well, and the participation in the parade.
Absolutely.
As well.
Yeah, right.
So I know that usually you're at Slack during the parade and everything that takes place downtown on Friday, but you know, that's a huge part of the rodeo as well, is Parade Friday. I know it's a big thing up here.
I was told I'm getting old enough now that I should stay away from the rodeo grounds and just go to the parade.
Okay,
And,
so you'll be in the buggy.
So
all
maybe
right.
I'll be in the buggy.
All right. Well, you know, that was nice that they put it to you that way.
I've seen enough rodeos. I should go down and look at a parade.
Hey, see what happens down there.
We'll describe it as a promotion.
A promotion. There it is. There it is. You know, the directors used to all ride in the parade, and because of the way we had to structure Slack to accommodate the traveling cowboys, because we're a working board and we work the arena for the rodeo and for the Slack, we no longer have the people to be down there and participate in the parade because so many of us have to be at the arena to help with the livestock. So. It's a bit unfortunate that we no longer are able to, you know, put a group of directors of horseback, put them in the parade. But all in the interest of what we hope is a better entertainment product for the people of Sheridan. We run those slacks every morning so the cowboys can come in, rope their first calf or steer. If they're a winner, stay over until the night performance and get their second one, and then move on to the next rodeo. That's one of the ways we keep the top competitors coming.
Just a quick point on that. I found that some folks don't know this, but you can come and watch Slack. 8 a.m.
Free.
Yep, Monday through Friday, Saturday.
Right, every day.
Every day. There's Slack starting at 8 a.m. If you don't like crowds, but you love rodeo, you're going to see the same cowboys performing in Slack that you will at the performance that night. So
there's barrel slack too on Tuesday night.
Barrel slack on Tuesday night, 6:00. We have I think a very large contingent of people in Sheridan, Johnson, Campbell counties who are deeply involved in barrel racing, and that slack is an opportunity to see the best in the world. And meet them, talk to them, learn whatever you can learn without having to sit in the stands and go through the rest of the performance. So if your focus and your interest is single steer roping, barrel racing, timed events, Slack is a great opportunity to come down. And the cowboys are so relaxed at that. I mean, as relaxed as they can be because they're competitors, but they're standing around cheering each other on, off their horses, talking to people, and it's a nice opportunity for the people in Sheridan to come up and meet some of those competitors.
Well, and I can tell you from experience that probably if you come up to Slack, you're going to find some old cowboys sitting up there watching Slack that will be more than happy to visit with you and share any of their knowledge. And if you have questions, they'll answer them for you. Yeah. So, you know, you can always find some old cowboy up there who used to rope or compete that'll give you some advice, wanted or unwanted.
Exactly.
That's exactly right.
You might find Hayden horseback too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You might.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Unless they tell you that you need to go to the parade.
Yeah. Riding the buggy.
Yeah. Ride the buggy, Hayden. So, well, there's so many things to talk about with WYO Rodeo, but is there anything else you guys want to cover besides what we've talked about today? We could be here for hours talking about WYO, but
There probably is, and but for the fact that we've talked about so much, I don't have anything on the tip of my tongue.
somebody will text
Right
you
now.
when you're done.
Without fail.
You know, one of the things we were talking about at the board meeting last night was the support that we get from the media, and this station is one of those great supporters, and the other great media supporter is the Sheridan Press, and they have put together a rodeo magazine
Mm-hmm.
that is, as far as I'm concerned, an award-winning magazine.
Mhm.
I mean, it's over 100 pages long. Every story you want to read about rodeo and about the contestants and about the animals will be in there. And I think media support has done a lot to the Cowboy Channel, shouldn't be ignored in this, has done a lot to make rodeo, I think I read, the fastest growing sport in America today.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for example, they're having the first rodeo ever in Nashville, Tennessee, coming up. I mean, it is like going to be the Country Music Awards rodeo. It's going to be a big deal. And Sheridan, little old Sheridan, has been a leader in this. And I think a lot of it's attributable to that media support and the community support that we are recognized as being in the forefront of putting on the entertainment that you see today.
Making plans for building a new barn, shop, or commercial building? Don't do any planning without a call to Sheridan's premier post-frame building and homes builder, True Built Builders, online at truebuiltbuilders.com.
Well, and I'm going to be remiss if I don't talk about this because I can tell you I will get the phone call from Zane. But let's talk about the sponsors, because without the sponsors, this rodeo doesn't happen either. And
That's correct.
Sheridan is so unbelievably fortunate to have the sponsors that we do for not just the WYO, but for so many things. But I know that Zane works all year with Zane Garstead, works all year to get those sponsors. And he's made such a relationship with them that you've had very little turnover with your sponsors. They return year after year after year and want to be a part of that.
That's correct. You know, to back up a little bit, Zane Garstead was one of the new rodeo committee members in the late 80s. He, Billy Kraft, Tracy Swanson, probably a few others that I remember them because they stayed so long after they came on the board. But Tracy was on the committee and a director for almost 30 years, is my best recollection. And what we found was that putting on an event like this is so detailed and so complicated and so sponsor-driven that we needed somebody to lead on all of that. Zane was interested, has a passion for the rodeo. We hired him. We fired him from the committee and we hired him as our executive director. Okay. And he is primarily in charge of production details in the sense that he's going to make that rodeo play like a banjo. And he drives the sponsorship. And you were so right. We cannot do this rodeo without sponsor support. All the businesses, all of the individuals that contribute to the rodeo year after year. The Gold Buckle Club. That's who's paying for those chutes. I mean, those guys, that 250 member group of people that has now been together for 20 years, I believe, and continue with no turnover to speak of. There's a limit because of our capacities up at the fairgrounds to put people in. Parking's not the only problem up there. The exhibit hall's got a capacity limit on it, but we've got a waiting list of 140 some odd people that want to get into the Gold Buckle Club, and that essentially is a rodeo support group, financial support group.
The main sponsor.
Main sponsor, and then you've got all your business sponsors, and I won't try to recognize them because I'll forget somebody, and somebody will be mad at me. But they're all recognized and noted throughout the rodeo. So thank you for bringing that up. It's hopefully Zane won't be upset with us for waiting till last on that point.
Being with the Wranglers for so long, we were directly involved with Zane weekly with the sponsors, because those flags you see in the arena, they represent the sponsors. And the Sheridan WYO Posse flag that you see also recognizes a whole nother group of sponsors. Some of your smaller ones, but they are still, that group, that Posse group is still part of the sponsorship as well.
Right.
So really everybody is involved.
I was about to say, I think that's one of the most impressive parts about the rodeo is, all the way from major sponsors down to folks that stop by and help during it, or whatever contributions there are. So many folks throughout the community of Sheridan and even surrounding communities contribute in all these little ways. And I think, it was interesting to me talking to Cowboys last year, working the chute during timed events, thanking them for being here, because obviously it doesn't go without them. And I was unbelievably pleasantly surprised about how many folks said, thank you guys. You put on a hell of a rodeo. And I think it's everybody's contribution from the ground up that makes it special and different from a lot of other rodeos.
It's amazing with the sponsors too, because if there is one that drops off, they are running for Zane.
There's a waiting list for sponsors.
And then if you're say a mid-tier and an upper, you're in line to move up to that next bracket, and it's quite impressive.
I used to be able to name off the top 10 flags because they didn't change in the 7 years that I was there. They just were the same ones, and there was very little movement. There was a little, but not much. And so, but it takes everybody, because without the contestants, there is no rodeo. Yep. But without the volunteers and the sponsors, there's no rodeo for the contestants to come. And without the rodeo committee putting it on, there's nothing. So it takes a lot of components to make it work. Now, I will mention, since I mentioned the Wranglers, I don't want to leave the royalty out, which I don't want to get in trouble with Jan and Carrie leaving the royalty out. But Hayden, you used to be pretty involved with the royalty.
Every organization needs a king and a queen, and we have been blessed, fortunate, however you want to call it, to have had 5 Miss Rodeo Wyomings come from Sheridan. And there is no other rodeo community in the state that has even come close to that. And that's modern era. That's within the last 20 years. Carrie Parr has been involved in that for 20 years. Her daughter, Riata, was the last Miss Rodeo Wyoming who competed for Miss Rodeo America. We have 4 young women competing for the Queen competition this year.
Oh, that's great.
And it's
awesome.
So what the goal of the organization is, and again, this is it's not always in your control. You have a goal and something you'd like to accomplish, but you've got to have those participants to play the game. But the goal is to have a number of girls at each age level competing, so that they can participate and be immersed in the training and everything it takes to be a Miss Rodeo Wyoming. But it takes a few years. But they start at 8 years old and come on up. And you see young girls who barely know which boot to pull on first become fashion queens and horse wranglers in front of your eyes. Over they'll stand up at a podium and be able to deliver podcasts with aplomb. They're very, very maturing young ladies that come out of that program. And I think it's pretty exciting. We haven't given enough credence to it always, but we've got a strong emphasis on it now. And that is a self-governing group. I mean, the rodeo board doesn't drive the royalty organization. They're organized for themselves. We provide them a venue where they can name a queen. And so they're going to have a horsemanship competition at the Sheridan College Agri Park Arena on June 24th. We will have their pageant with modeling and speeches at the WYO Theater the next night on the 25th. So that'll be the start of your rodeo week events.
I think I'll see you there.
You might see me there. You might see me there.
Well, and speaking, I want to say just a little personally, the Wranglers and the Royalty have always worked, since we kind of started taking it over, have tried to work together because you have a lot of girls who want to participate in both. And so we've really tried to work both groups together. And you don't have to be one to be the other. But I noticed that those girls who come out with a whole lot of horsemanship, because of the riding. And now you have, Lexi Townsley's the head coach, and Lexi is fabulous. I can't say enough about her, but that whole Wrangler board as well. And I know that they're working well together with the Royalty board for both programs.
Right. That Wrangler group is really pretty exciting. I rode with them last winter half a dozen times, and Lexi is a great coach. There's a lot of horsemanship knowledge that is shared, and it is a lot more difficult to carry that flag in coordination with other people in that arena than it looks. It is it takes a lot of time and practice, and we include those people as volunteers. I mean, they don't get paid. They're running their own show. They're bringing to us a group of people who will present those sponsor flags to the audience.
Well, and those girls practice all year long.
Absolutely.
They bring their own horses, their own rigs, their own gas. Like they have a dedication to be a part of the Sheridan WYO Rodeo to do that, because that's a lot. It is a lot of time that they put in.
There's all age ranges too.
Yes. Yes. I think the youngest when I was there was 10 years old, and that was Katie Schreibeis. And at the time, we had a couple of ladies in their 70s.
Notice you didn't name them. That's smart. That's a good move.
Those ladies might not be my friends anymore if I did, but you know who you are.
They did great, for the record.
They do. And like you said, and what a mentorship program that there is there as well, with those older gals and being able to take those younger ones and go on with them.
So rodeo royalty contestants, rodeo queen contestants, obviously have to do something on a horse. And the Wranglers is one of the places where the ladies who compete in the royalty competition hone their horsemanship skills, their presentation when they come into the arena.
So one other thing I want to talk about real quick, and you had mentioned it earlier, but it's those folks that you may not see that make the rodeo run: the stock contractor, the pickup men, the bullfighter, the rodeo secretary, the timers. You guys don't probably see the timers or the secretaries, but it takes them. Will Rasmussen is one of the best announcers there is, and Sheridan's lucky to have the best that comes here.
I would agree. And that's I'll pat the committee on the back for the 20 some odd years that I've been associated with them. The committee has always worked very hard to select the highest quality announcers, clowns, bullfighters, stock contractors, you name it. If you're not a top tier producer, then you're not going to make it in Sheridan very long. And so, the other thing we should talk about in that area, I want to talk about, is the visit we were having outside the studio today about all of the directors who have been with the Sheridan WYO Rodeo, who are living with us and who are now not part of the rodeo, but all contributed substantially and for years. And I think almost none of us are rodeo cowboys. Most of us are not even connected to ranch cowboy work. We're all citizens of Sheridan, business people, professional people, with a few exceptions. But you think about the Frank Eatons and the Bruce Kings and the Tracy Swansons, the Billy Crafts. I'm sure you'll come up with names quicker than I can. But those in recent memory,
right?
All of those guys are serving on the board of directors for the Sheridan WYO Rodeo for the community and to put this event on and to make sure that it continues. We're in year 95 this year, and so I hope to be around for 5 more to celebrate 100. And these guys, I hope, are driving the ship at that point in time, and I'm riding in the buggy at the head of the parade.
At that time, maybe you can be part of emeritus.
I can be. Yeah, we do have an emeritus director group who are the retired directors. And,
but they still contribute.
They do contribute. They're out there speaking good things about the WYO Rodeo to everybody they meet everywhere, and they raise money for us.
Drive the barrel truck.
That's just what I said. Drive the barrel truck.
Yep. You name it.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
what else do you want to talk about?
Well, I was going to say we could go on and on forever, but I'm sure out there somebody has already clicked off this because they're tired of listening to us. But we could talk about WYO Rodeo, and especially WYO Rodeo history for a long time. But
well, it is history. It's a traditional sport, and I sometimes wonder how do you change a sport like rodeo and make it non-historical. It's very hard to do.
I will say that it feels like this is a particularly exciting time to be involved with the WYO Rodeo and rodeo generally. I think with the advent of the Cowboy Channel, and for all the reasons that we've discussed here today, things just keep leveling up a notch in all aspects of the rodeo. It's really a high tide raises all ships, but the tide's getting higher everywhere. And so it's exciting to be a part of that as the rodeo continues to progress and take steps forward.
And we talk about it all the time. We're always trying to get a better performance, a better package. When we're done on Sunday, we're still talking about what we can improve every single year. Yeah.
Next year.
Well, I mean, shucks, every night at the end of the rodeo, you watch all of us group up there, and it's because we're talking about what we did tonight and what we can do better tomorrow. It's that important.
Well, I know Hayden and I had a conversation here a couple months ago that the WYO Rodeo now is an event. It's not just the rodeo. It's everything around it and the rodeo. It's an event. It's a place you want to be, and you want to be a part of it. You don't want to be left out.
And it goes all the way from the polo fields in Bighorn all the way to Agri Park at College Agri Park. There's events everywhere.
And to give you a little more flesh to put on that topic, Liz, when I met with the producers at the Cowboy Channel last year, they told me they want to know about Sheridan. They said, we can go to lots of rodeos and we can produce rodeos, but we want to know about Sheridan. We want to hear from travel and tourism. We want to hear from the people in the community. We want to know what your golf course is like and what your mountains are like and what your people are like, what your downtown eating and drinking establishments are like. That's the substance of what they're trying to do. The rodeo is the event, but the filler that they're trying to put in the pie is what is it about Sheridan that we can tell the rest of the world? The guy who's a fan in Missouri, and he gets up on Saturday morning and he turns the Cowboy Channel on and he says, "Oh, there's a rodeo about Sheridan, Wyoming. What's Sheridan, Wyoming?" And so it does become a big community-wide event, and people who are broadcasting are very interested.
Speaking of golf courses,
yes,
the Sheridan WYO Rodeo golf scramble is back.
We have a golf tournament back.
Man.
We do. Chuck Hutton has stepped up because literally our board, we don't have the resources to do it. We just can't like we used to. But Chuck Hutton has stepped up. He is putting that back together. I believe it's on the same day as boot kick.
I remember Bill Getter used to do it, if I remember right.
So it's at Kendrick. And if you want to get into it, call Chuck Hutton, or you can send a message to get on SheridanWYORodeo.com and then send a message there, and we can get you pointed in the right direction. Yeah, I think it's at 10:30 on the same day as the boot kick.
Well, one thing I want to say, we've talked about how the volunteers, and we've talked about how people can be a part of the WYO Rodeo, but I want to talk about what the WYO Rodeo has done for our youth in the community, because I think that gets overlooked sometimes. Not only do you guys do scholarships for graduating seniors, you guys do so much for the 4-H and the FFA. FFA kids volunteer. We always have you guys are a part of the 4-H sale that night. You come to the shows. If we need something, we make the phone call. We need help. But you also do, there's so many things. The barn is sponsored for any youth by the Sheridan WYO Rodeo and Dan and Kathy Riggs, and I believe Brad Walden with C&K.
C&K equipment.
Yep.
So you guys provide a lot of youth opportunities that maybe some people don't realize.
Well, we do like to think of ourselves as a community organization, not a rodeo organization, a community organization who has rodeo as its focus. So part of the outreach is wherever we can support kids and youth in the Western sports, Western events, we're going to do it. So if you're showing livestock at the FFA, if you're giving speeches at the FFA convention, if you're a junior barrel racer, we're going to get behind you and find a way to help you out. And if you're just a good student at school and you've contributed some work as a volunteer to the WYO Rodeo, we're going to make sure that you get a shot at a scholarship. And those cost of college today, maybe $1,000 scholarship doesn't seem like the biggest thing, but in my experience, $1,000 helps a lot.
It'll pay for a couple books.
It'll pay for a couple of books,
and definitely not anything other than books.
Yeah. And that is a big part of when we look at scholarship applications. If they do volunteer for the Sheridan WYO Rodeo or for Gold Buckle setup or what, even the parade, but are they active with what we're doing? That goes a long way. That's a huge part of the puzzle.
So another little piece of that, Liz, that you might not be aware of is that over the past few years, the Sheridan High School sports teams have cleaned the grandstands every night. Okay. We have grandstands that has 4,000 people in it that leave their trash, and it has to be cleaned up for the next morning. And so how do we do that? It's through the efforts of the Sheridan High School sports teams, for which we pay them. We want to make sure that those teams that are looking to raise money for uniforms or travel or whatever have an opportunity to do that. You might say that work is not exactly a gift, but for a couple hours work in the morning, 4 days a week, those teams will take home $3,000, and that pays for a lot of their expenses during the course of the year. So we're supportive of and thankful to those kids that do that.
I would also say that we are always on the lookout for other organizations that want to get involved with the WYO Rodeo. Last year, for the first time, we partnered up and had some folks from Volunteers of America assist us with our polo match on Sunday. And I would say one of the great parts about my role on the board that I enjoy is getting to form those new relationships. So if there's anybody out there that has an organization that'd be interested in getting involved with the WYO, reach out to me and we'll find a spot to plug you in.
So if anybody was looking to get a hold, SheridanWYORodeo.com, there's a email me there, contact us, get a hold of you guys through that. That's probably the best way, and they can help facilitate that.
Don't you have a tab on the website for volunteers, Casey?
We sure do. Spurs. So you can either scroll down or click on the top menu and click volunteer. You could also do SheridanWYORodeo.com/volunteers. And the other thing I would say is one of the great parts about our board is that we all get along and talk to each other all the time anyway. So, if you need to get a hold of me, but Hayden, reach out to Hayden and he'll plug you in, and vice versa. So if you want to get involved, get a hold of one of us and we'll make it happen.
All right. Well, I'm sure everybody's tired of listening to us, but thank you for sitting through all this because it's been a blast. I love talking rodeo.
Yep.
Something I know about, something I've been involved with a long time. So, gentlemen, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
You're a knowledgeable host, and we appreciate that. It makes it easy to talk about this.
Well, thank you.
And we appreciate all you've done for the rodeo over the years.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So, anyways, check out SheridanWYORodeo.com. There are a few tickets left for Wednesday night. If you didn't get them bought, you're just going to have to be watching it on TV this year.
Yep.
Anyways, for more news, sports, and podcasts, check out SheridanMedia.com. And thank you to Heartland Kubota and True Built Builders for being our sponsors.
Awesome.
Well, thanks, guys. I didn't
Thank
mean to
you.
ramble on, but man, there's so much to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you don't get us very often.
I don't.